Assalamualaikum. We from Group 6 will present about buy Bithaman Ajil and mortgage reducing term Takaful with land title.
Bankers need to realize the client are sincere and integrity. Additionally, the banker needs to be confident the applicant has the heritage, schooling, industry, knowledge, and enjoy required to effectively perform the business. Lending institution may also require a certain amount of management and or ownership experience. They will also ask customer license and whether you got a criminal record or not. Amongst other, he will include the specification of the items, its grade, fee, region, the supplier, producer, or developer needs. Banker will observe the personal credit of all customer or borrower that involved in the loan and mortgage. Banker has the right to make exception for low credit scores. We additionally see if the consumer or borrower reputation or track for repaying debts. This information appears at the borrower credit score reports. Few bankers has minimal credit score required, then an applicant can be eligible for a brand new loans approval. Minimum credit score necessity will vary from lender to lender and from one loan product to the subsequent. The overall rule is the higher a borrower credit ranking, the higher the chance of receiving an approval. Bankers want to recognize that the customer can repay the mortgage. The business should have sufficient cash flow to support its business expenses and debt, at the same time while also presenting principal salaries sufficient to support personal costs and debts. Inspecting the payment history or current loans and expenses is an indicator of the customer availability to make loan payment. Banker can even see the customer income amount, record of employment, and present deposit balance imply the ability to repay outstanding debt. With this, the small business owner with unsteady coins flow may be considered low ability debtor. The banker may even test whether the customer can pay off the most important amount inside the time agreed and inside the same amount of principal borrowed. With law or Sharia, banker must no longer restrict from the borrower to pay an extra amount at his absolute discretion as a token of appreciation. This so-called hibah is considered as haram if handless the amount is fixed at the beginning of the agreement because of the term of the financing. Banker will ask what personal investment the customer plan to make in the business, not simply those injecting capital lower the chance of default, but contributing personal property also suggests that you are inclined to take a personal risk for the sake of your business. A large contribution by the borrower decreases the chance of default. Banker will also see the customer over a proof of asset under the name of the borrower. They present as an investment, saving, and assets such as land and jewelry. Customer will be needed to pledge certain asset under their name as insurance in bank when they want to secure the item, for example, vehicle credit or home advance. This may incorporate fixed assets like the title of a package of land or financial assets and protection like bonds. It is generally considered to be less risky for lender to issue the loan. The price of the collateral is assessed by deducting the price of current loan toward a similar resource. The leftover value shows the true value of security of the borrower. The assessment of the liquidity of insurance is additionally subject to the source of resource, its area, and likely attractiveness. Banker will see customer or borrower credit transactions such as the principal amount or interest rate. Banker must assess risk based on how the borrower plans to use the money should they receive it. A banker may be more likely to approve those loans because of their specific purpose rather than a signature loan which could be used for anything. Also, bankers may consider conditions that are outside of the borrower control, like the condition of the economy, industry pattern, or forthcoming administrative changes. If the purpose of customer does not bring any benefit, banker must minimize the risk inherent in the grant of loans to customer, as it is a defensive policy to protect the loan against any risk. In view of this, the banker should avoid concentrating the bank funds in a few customers. If these few customers do not pay, then the bank may go bankrupt. A bank must make advance to a variety of businesses in various industries and throughout several geographic locations to avoid being negatively impacted by the failure of a single industry or a few large borrowers.
Assalamualaikum. My name is NAJWATUL binti HAZMAN. My metric number is 053974. I'm from Group 6 and I will be presenting about features of buy Bithaman Ajil and features of mortgage reducing term Takaful. Features of Al-Buy Bithaman Ajil. Al-Buy Bithaman Ajil is also known as deferred installment sale. It is a contract of buying and selling of an asset between a bank and a customer. It is a markup sale of an asset on deferred payment, which include cost of an asset and agreed markup price in the selling price. Nevertheless, the cost price and amount of markup are no need to be stated. It is a long-term financing. The final price must be agreed and known by both parties, the bank and customer. The time and mode of payment are also should be ascertained by both parties. Bank's purchase price is the total financing amount granted to customer on the particular asset. Bank selling price is the maximum amount payable at the end of financing tenure, which is bank's purchase price plus profit rate charged at a specific tenure. Computation of the bank selling price is based on the contracted profit rate and the bank's purchase price at a specific tenure on monthly rates. Customer need to pay the amount of selling price monthly based on agreed tenure. The payment is always deferred and no payment occur when buy Bithaman Ajil contract is executed or concluded by the parties concerned. Features of mortgage reducing term Takaful (MRTT). MRTT is a comprehensive Takaful term financing that provides financial protection of outstanding balance of the house financing in the event of premature death or total permanent disability. For premium contribution that is incurred once is usually included in the financing amount and spread over the financing tenure. No monthly or yearly contributions are to be paid. For early redemption of financing, customer will be entitled for a refund of the contribution for the balance of unexpired period. Islamic banking institutions have their own panel of Takaful operators, and most of them can arrange Takaful on customers' behalf with the annual contribution charged to customers' house financing account. These are CIMB's MRTT benefits and privileges.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SUZYLAWATI. My metric number is 052886 and I'm from Diploma in Banking Semester 6. So I'll be explaining the procedure of potential customer to apply buy Bithaman Ajil or also known as PBA. Okay, next slide. We will be seeing the procedure. So, the procedure of PBA is started with the customer identify first which asset such as property that he wants to purchase. The customer will also need to work out his budget and see if he is afford to buy the property. He will sign the sale and purchase agreement and also pay the required down payment to the developer. After that, the customer will choose bank that he wants to seek the house financing. The bank will purchase the asset from the developer with the purchase price, and at this point of time, the customer will be signed the property purchase agreement. The bank will sell the asset back to the customer with markup purchase price as a profit, and the customer will be signing the property sale agreement. Okay, next we will be looking at the application form sample from CIMB Bank. Okay, this is the list of documents required to application form. So first and foremost, of course the bank will be needed a photocopy of NRIC. This is to get the basic information about the applicants. The bank then needs a copy of sale and purchase from developer and copy of individual title deed. This is because the bank will see if the fund financing is used to finance the assets stated, and also to see that the customer name is transferred to the property. After that, the bank will need a property valuation report. It is a report that confirms the actual market value of the property from a valuer firm. This is important as it is required for the bank before the disbursement of financing. After that, the bank will need latest 3 months bank statement, and the list go down. So this all of this list is really important to bank because it can ensure the applicant's creditworthy and see the applicants will be able to pay the loan on time. For self-employed applicants, the bank will needed to see profit or loss statement or business registration A and D. This is because the bank can get the idea of the sustainability of the applicants and see that if he can afford to pay the loan back. So this form also needed to give the confidence to the bank to deal with this type of customer. Mortgage Reducing Term Takaful or MRTT is product of Takaful that designed to provide financial support in death or total permanent disability. So MRTT is defined as the home loan amount reduced. The cover of MRTT also reduced. MRTT cover both accidental and natural causes for death and TBD benefit. So this is the eligibility to apply for MRTT. Next, we will be looking at the MRTT application form. Okay, now this is the document required by Sun Life for MRTT application form. So the needed is a copy of NRIC or identity card. The reason why NRIC or identity card is needed to identify the applicant and get the information needed. For example, the age, gender, health condition, and employment history is needed to determine the rate of payment for MRTT. So this is my part, and I will be pass the next part to other presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURIN JAZLINA binti JAMIL. My metric number is 052916. So I'm gonna present on the advantages and disadvantages of Baik Bithaman Ajil and Mortgage Reducing Term Takaful MRTT. There are 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages of Baik Bithaman Ajil that I can explain. Okay, the first one, the sale price of the property is set at the time of contract. As we know in Islam, to ensure a valid transaction for the contract, a price must be set at the time of the contract is executed. Thus, it can also help the customer to know the actual price of the property that have been purchased. Second, the selling price of the property will not change as there are no additional or hidden costs. For example, if the price of the property is 100,000, the price cannot be changed to another amount as it is clearly stated on the contract that no additional cost will be incurred. And the last one, the amount to be paid is not subject to interest rate fluctuations as the BBA is Sharia compliant. Thus, it is good for Muslim to engage in Baik Bithaman Ajil because interest rate is prohibited in Islam, but profit will be taken into account. Okay, next we move to the disadvantages of Baik Bithaman Ajil. The first one, Changes in financing terms may be more complicated. If the customer wants to change the financing terms, a new sell and buyback agreement must be created and signed, which is likely to incur significant costs compared to conventional loan. At this part, conventional loan have more advantages as it does not incur significant costs like BBA, in which for BBA, the contract must be signed. Thus, it will have more cost. Second, BBA have difficulty in restructuring or refinancing in the case of default. If the customer cannot pay the loan at the time stated, thus it will cause some difficulty for BBA to restructure it back. And the last one, penalty charges for floating rates may not be very attractive in circumstances of high profit rates. Next, we move to the advantages and disadvantages of mortgage reducing term takaful MRTT. For advantages, for the first advantages of MRTT, protect outstanding financing facility in the event of death and total permanent disability. Second, provide protection at a reducing balance in accordance to outstanding financing facility. And the last one, provide a one-time contribution payment to cover the entire financing period of the facility. For the advantages, it does not protect borrowers from critical illness. If the borrower is still alive, even in a state of critical illness, the loan payment must be paid when it is due. This is because MRTT only cover for someone who have death or have some total permanent disability. It cannot cover someone who are in critical illness. Second, the value of protection is reduced depends on the value of the loan and the term of the loan only. And the last one, it is non-transferable. One house for one policy only. So if the customer still want to transfer it to another owner, the new policy will be incurred and may incur some significant cost. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURSYAFIQAH binti YUSOH. My matrix number is 052905 and I am from Diploma in Banking. Now it is my turn to explain to you the importance of SYSCRIS and CITOS report. But first of all, we need to know what is SYSCRIS and what is CITOS. Central Credit Reference Information System, or as known as SYSCRIS, is a system created and managed by Bank Negara Malaysia's Credit Bureau. It is to standardize credit reports of potential borrowers. CITOS is a credit reporting agency which stands for CITOS Data System Syndrome Berhad, and it is regulated by the Registrar of Credit Reporting Agencies. So why is SYSCRIS and CITOS are so important? The first one, it shows your credit pattern. It shows whether you have good ability in paying off all your debts and all other commitments on time. The second one is it may help you to know your current report status. These reports allow you to check it annually, so it will be easier for you to dispute any errors that hurt your credit report. So if you have a bad credit report, you can replan your financial plan to make sure you can pay back all your debts on time. It will beautify your credit report again. The third one is it is used by banks to see your credit worthiness, whether you are eligible for a loan. So bank or lenders will check your credit reports before approving your loans to determine how likely you are to pay back or default on a loan. This is why it is important to pay your credit on time. The last one is it helps you to get past offers on loans. For example, let's say you apply housing loan of 250,000 ringgit. If you have a very good credit report, banks will likely to increase your margin of finance up to 90% and decrease your interest rate and otherwise. So if you have a bad credit report, you may get fewer loans than people who have a very good report. Now let's see what are the items on those reports. There are only 3 items on this report, which are outstanding credit, special attention account, and applications for credit. In outstanding credit, it shows all outstanding credit from existing credit facilities obtained by the individuals. Special attention account shows all outstanding credit facilities that is under close supervision by the financial institutions. The last one is applications for credit. It shows the amount of loan applications you have applied in the last 12 months and their statuses, whether they are accepted or rejected. Now let's move on to the items on status report. There are 5 parts containing different categories of information. The first one is snapshots. It contains your basic identification information such as your full name, your address. Section B is directorships and business interests. The third one is banking payment records. Section D, legal cases. It helps lenders to have a better understanding on your backgrounds, history, and business information. It shows all information regarding outstanding payments of payment defaults given by 9 financial institutions such as utilities agencies like electricity or subscription services such as Netflix or Astro. That's all the items on status reports. And that's all from me. I'll pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello, my name is MUHAMMAD bin RUSLAN and my matric number is 052866. First of all, I want to talk about repayment loan in by Bithaman Ajil can make by customer. Okay. First, the customer, if he want to make this loan, he need to identify the asset or that he or she wants. Okay, and the customer will approach the bank for agreement. And in terms of funding, in nature of repayment, the bank will determine the customer requirement. Okay, then the bank will buy the asset from the developer and then the bank will sell the property to a customer at the cost of the principal cost. Okay. Okay. If the customer cannot pay the bank in cash, in the term of requirement and contracts, so it will be difficult for installment payment to make in next month or another month. So if the customer is agreed to refund the funding over a period of month, it will be easy to pay for each month. So the next is how to pay, how customer make a repayment loan on mortgage reducing term Takaful. Okay, so mortgage reducing term Takaful is a lower coverage for the loan. It means it's a loan to cover the loan that we make from a bank. Okay, so if the borrower die or have a disability in period of the loan, the loan that we make with bank, this mortgage reducing term Takaful will cover the loan that we make. Okay, so if the borrower want to alter the house or her name, first they must the interest must be paid. If the interest not be paid, MRT will be covered, but we must pay the interest, which means the interest that we have in bank, we must get settled before the loan we make. Okay, and if the borrower die before the period, MRT will cover the loan. Okay.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is NURULSALIHAH binti NORALKHAN. My message number is 052874. I present my part that is documentation process of baik Bithaman Ajil and sample mortgage reduction term Takaful with land title. But first, we must know what documentation is. Documentation is document that provide or collected as evidence or as reference material, and the process is a process of providing written detail or information about something. The use of the documentary evidence will provide a confirmation that some fact or statement is true. In case of baik Bithaman Ajil documentation process is set of agreement in a connection with a financing. The documentation will form a full set of records for the financing. The first step in baik Bithaman Ajil documentation process is the property purchase agreement. Property purchase agreement is an agreement that made between the client and the bank. The most important sentence in the agreement usually state the customer has applied to the bank for a financing and the bank has approved the said application and the customer has agreed to enter into this agreement with the bank, whereby the bank at the customer's request purchase from the customer the property at the purchase price. The property purchase agreement is executed on the basis that the client already have the rights to the property concerned based on the SNP between the client and the developer or sellers. And the Islamic banking institution is purchasing those rights in order to provide the financing. Most of the time, the purchase price is consisting of the remaining balance of the price of the house, for example, 90%, and some other costs like MRT, lawyer's fee, and the rest. That we certainly increasing the financing amount to be more than the remaining balance price of the house. Nevertheless, the financing amount that the bank is able or willing to finance is only negotiable between the client and the bank. In approving so, the policies of the bank, creditworthiness of the client, and the rest will be among the factors to determine the financing amount to be eventually approved to the client. Of property purchase agreement from CIMB Islamic Bank. The Islamic banking institution subsequently said the property backed through the property sales agreement. That is next step in the baik Bithaman Ajil documentation process. The next step in this documentation process is property sales agreement that being signed between the client and the bank. The most important sentence in this agreement usually states the bank hereby agrees to sell and the customer hereby agrees to purchase the property at the sales price upon the term and subject to the condition herein contained. The property sales agreement is being signed after the client signing the property purchase agreement that granted the right for the bank to sell back the asset to the client. The ways in which of the payment of the price to be made will be detailed. Based on the agreement reached between the bank and the client, the bank will sell the property at the agreed selling price, which include a profit margin to the Islamic banking institution for providing the financing to the client. When the selling price equal to purchase price added to profit margin, the client will also need to charge the property to the Islamic banking institution, and they pay the Islamic banking institution the selling price on a deferred payment basis by installments within the agreed payment period under the house financing I facility. This is sample of property sales agreement from CIMB Islamic Bank. Generally, this legal process should not exceed 6 months. Islamic banking institutions have their own panel of Takaful operators, and most of them can arrange Takaful on the client behalf with the annual contribution charged to house financing I account. Mortgage reduction term Takaful MRT is a reduction term life insurance product. They follow the Takaful principle of Islamic finance. It's basically an insurance plan to cover the cost of home loan in the event of death or total permanent disability. That's all the presentation from us. Thank you for watching and thank you to our lecturer, Madam Rashidah.